If you would turn, please, to file item 8. File item 8. Also, you have on your table in front of you some supplemental documents that were distributed a bit earlier today. Dr. Goodwin.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. The mic's on?
Yes, your mic's on.
In the lead scientist report this month, there's 3 items. I want to speak briefly about the predation workshop that happened in July. I'd like to give you an update on the Science Fellows Program, the class of 2013, and then we'll ask Emily to come up and give you by the numbers with some interesting statistics that are going on related to the Delta. So first of all, the predation workshop was co-hosted by the Delta Science Program and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, as well as the National Marine Fisheries. So this was an independent panel workshop who was tasked with summarizing the current state of knowledge on predation of the Central Valley salmonids by other fish. And what the panel were charged with were several issues. First of all, what is currently being done to study the issue, to describe what is currently known, and also to provide a preliminary evaluation of the data that's being collected and how this might be used in the future. There was also a very brief session there that explored some of the current modeling efforts that are underway to understand the life cycle modeling, and particularly the role of predation in that life cycle modeling. We're expecting the final report of this panel to be issued towards the end of September this year. I'm not sure if there's any comments on that. Well, I'm sure we'll be talking about it further in September if the report's available, or if not, in the October meeting. The second item, if there's no questions on the predation workshop, I just wanted to give you an update on the 2013 Science Fellows. As you know, this is a very high priority for the Delta Science Program, and you've also been extremely supportive and made this a priority for us. What's so special about the Science Fellows Program is that it attracts very talented young researchers to come and work in the Delta. And this is important for several reasons. One is that there's a projected gap in the science brain trust across the federal and state agencies within the next 10 years with retirements. So this is a way of profiling the activities here with the hope that some of these young people will come and work. Secondly, also very important, it helps us build community. So in the Delta Science Plan, which we'll be talking about in a moment, a very big part of that is how can we improve the functioning of the science community as a whole, and particularly the relationship between the policy and management decisions and the scientists. So this program is set up to build links between the academic community, the universities, and those people that are using the science either within agencies, within local governments. And so the selection of the fellows is based on 3 criteria. Firstly, the intellectual merit of the proposal. That's just how good is the research. The quality of the fellow themselves, where are they from, what's their track record, what's their potential for being an outstanding young scientist in the future. And thirdly, which has an equal weight with the intellectual merit of the proposal, is the contribution of that research. How is that contributing to achieving the co-equal goals? This is actually an out year. Usually this is a 2-year cycle. But last year we conducted a very rigorous review. We asked the selection panel to use NSF standards, and so we didn't fully utilize the funds available last year. This time around, the selection panel and the science program and California Sea Grant last year had noticed several common mistakes that the proposers made. Many of these proposals are being written by young scientists, and it was very evident, great idea, but it just didn't have the polish. So I'd like to recognize the staff in the California Sea Grant program, particularly Shauna Oh and our own science program staff, that this year they hosted a webinar where they really laid out what the program's about, particularly the importance of relating the science to management, and really being able to demonstrate an in-depth relationship with what we call the community mentor or the agency. The result of that was that the panel this year, when they met, and here we have an overlap of about a half of people who've been served on the panel before, the other half are new people coming in to cover the topics which the proposals cover. And one of the new members told us, she said, I've sat on 2 NSF review panels this year, and I have to say this selection of proposals were at least equally as good. And she was just amazed at the standard. So we received 30 proposals. In the Delta Science program, we were able to fund 5 of those. But because of the quality of the depth of the pool, we have received support from other agencies. I'd like to particularly recognize the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory and Department of Water Resources, who've stepped up and are funding these other high-priority fellows. So we're anticipating that there's going to be somewhere between 10 and 12 awards. There's at least 10, and we're hoping to push that number to as much as 12, but we're in negotiation with agencies to provide that funding right now. You'll have an opportunity to meet the fellows in September. Another thing which we've introduced is this early career leadership workshop, where Chair Eisenberg will get to meet with the science fellows, put the context of their science in perspective, give them an understanding of the various issues. They also receive training on how to be a successful researcher, and part of that is in communication. So in your council meeting in September, they'll be doing, again, the brief pop-ups between 1 and 2 minutes, just describing what their research is and the impact. So you'll get to meet the class of 2013. Okay, are there any questions on the Science Fellows program?
How many are there this year?
There's going to be between 10 and 12. We received 30 proposals, and we'd expected a few more, but I think when we mentioned the standard and what was expected, it's not the sort of proposal you write in 1 or 2 evenings. So we received 30, and we're expecting to fund 10 to 12, so that's about 1/3 success rate. For the next item, I'd like to invite Emily, who's one of our State Fellows, a great example of, again, this State Fellow or Science Fellow program, and my advice to other agencies is you need at least 1 or 2 of these fellows in your programs. So, Emily.